Hello, Russ Williams here. I'd like to give you a quick overview of the ACS Agent Hub, which can be used to add an agent escalation capability to your bot. It's now simpler than ever to go from zero to escalation hero in just 10 short minutes. Developers don't need any prior understanding of the technical details of bot framework agent escalation. And there's no need for a trial subscription or special developer account. The ACS Agent Hub is a purely Azure-based solution, so developers already have everything they need to begin developing agent escalation scenarios. For new developers, there's a finished sample they can run out of the box and straight away start experimenting with escalation, no coding necessary. This finished sample also serves as a roadmap for how to code escalation scenarios. For experienced developers, they simply install the ACS Agent Hub's NuGet package, and they can add escalation scenarios to new or existing bots. Existing bots can be SDK or Composer bots, depending on how current the bot is. For new bots, escalation can be added to any Composer template the developer chooses. The README documentation covers everything developers need to know to get up and running fast. The Getting Started section only has 2 steps. Step 1, clone the repo. Step 2, run a single deployment script. The deployment script takes care of everything. It deploys the required Azure services, configures those services, automatically modifies app setting files, and even starts services required at runtime, so it's totally ready to go once the script finishes. The README documentation includes a prerequisites section that spells out what needs to be installed along with the requisite download links. Earlier, I mentioned the finished sample that beginners can use to start experimenting with agent escalation. This section explains all that and shows how to open the solution, start the bot, and how to trigger an escalation. Here's what that sample looks like. It's called the Composer example, and it has a handoff action here, and you can see how its properties are set over here. The more interesting scenario is adding escalation to a new bot. It's a simple process that only requires a few steps that are well documented in the README file, but instead of reviewing that documentation now, why don't I just show you how easy it is. As I mentioned, the ACS Agent Hub can be used with any type of Composer template, so I'll choose the easiest template to demo, but the steps I'm showing are exactly the same no matter what template you choose. I'll also choose the regular expression recognizer to further simplify the demo. So the first thing I need to do is to install the ACS Agent Hub NuGet package. This package abstracts all the technical details of the Bot Framework Agent Hub protocol and enables programmers to be instantly productive with no technical learning curve. I'm installing the local version of the NuGet package, but eventually it'll be available in the public NuGet feed. I'll click the install here, and when it's finished, it'll show the README documentation. You won't need to install the ACS Agent Hub SDK package, since it's already built into the ACS connector. Okay, now that we have the ACS connector installed, we can click on this link and follow the step-by-step instructions for how to add agent escalation to a bot. There are only 4 steps, and we've already knocked out step 1, so we're on to step 2, which tells the bot where its ACS Agent Hub is located. And we do that by pasting this app setting snippet into the bot's app settings. So let me use the copy button here, and then I'll switch to the configure blade here, and now I'll switch to the advanced view, and then just paste the snippet in here at the top like this. That's all the configuration we need to do, and now we're ready to add an escalation trigger. I'll name this trigger Escalation, and I'll use this trigger phrase, talk to human. At this point, you can design any escalation experience you want. I'll take a simple approach and just send a response to the user to let them know that an agent will be with them shortly. Later, I can come back and extend the dialogue and ask for the user's name and reason for escalation and pass that along to the Agent Hub, but for now, we'll just keep it simple. The only thing left to do is to add the escalation action. To do that, I simply add a handoff activity, which will trigger the ACS connector to begin an escalation and broker all subsequent conversation to the agent until the conversation is ended by the user or the agent. Every Agent Hub has its own specific payload requirements, and that value will be set in this context property. We'll grab the ACS Agent Hub payload from the documentation link in the package manager. So we'll need to go back and reselect it and then click that link. Now if I scroll down to step 4, I'll see the payload I need. The tags in the skill property can be used by the Agent Hub to route the escalation to the appropriate agent. The type of customer can be captured by the value in the customer type property, so VIP or premium customer, for example. As I mentioned earlier, I don't ask for the bot's username or why they need help, but if I did, I could come back and dynamically set those properties later. Okay, let me copy this snippet and I'll switch back to the composer and paste this value into the context property. The ACS Agent Hub comes complete with middleware that collects transcript history, and I could use that collected transcript to set the transcript property, but to keep things simple, I'll just set it to null for now. That's all there is to it. Simple, right? Okay, let me start the bot now and we'll try it out. I'll use the integrated web chat to test things, and I'll type the trigger phrase we created earlier. And if I switch to the ready-made agent portal that comes with the solution, we can see the escalation. An agent can now take ownership of that escalation and begin the conversation with the user. And when the user responds, it shows up in the agent portal. When the agent ends the conversation, the ACS connector stops brokering messages and the conversation returns to the bot. And there you have it. 0 to escalation hero in 10 short minutes.